Hey everyone, Mark Hessman here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. It's time for a Wednesday video update, and now that the NBA Finals are over, congrats to the Boston Celtics. I want to break down who I think are the 10 best basketball players on the planet right now. Going into the Olympics, going into next season, this is going to be my 10. Now, the Olympics could change some things slightly, depending on, who leads Team USA? Can, any of the international guys really make a giant run in the Olympics? Maybe this order could change a little bit, but I really feel solid about these are my 10 best players in the world of basketball right now. I don't want to say just in the NBA, just in the world right now. So let's jump into it. I'm going to start with one and work our way down because I think it's actually more interesting as you go down the list. So let's start with number one, Nikola Jokic. He's had the title for about 2 years now and really is no desire of leaving it. I had mentioned in the previous week's video that Luka and even Jason Tatum could really push depending on how the finals went, how the Olympics went for both of them. But let's be honest, 3 of the last 4 MVPs. He plays such a unique style of basketball. Jokic is the best player on the planet right now. That's a number one. Number two, I'm actually going with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know the injury really is a bummer, and I think that if Giannis wasn't injured, we would still be talking about him maybe even as that 1A. He would have pushed that Celtics team. Listen, the guy's a 2-time MVP. He's a finals MVP. He was second in the NBA in scoring this year behind only Luka. Not Joel, not Shai Gilgeous. It was Giannis. Like, the dude can score, and he's a much better defender, obviously, and a complete player than Luka. Yeah, Luka can shoot threes. Giannis can't shoot threes. Giannis can score basically the same rate as Luka. And I think in a lot of ways he's more efficient than Luka. Luka's at number 3. Luka has the highest ceiling of anyone on this list. Even of a Victor Wembanyama, he still has the highest ceiling, in my opinion, of any basketball player in the world. If Luka Doncic finds a way to get himself in elite shape for his physicality, and also finding a way to not complain to the refs, finding a way to be a little bit more of an off-the-ball player and actually be a threat on defense, not even have to be a great defensive player, but just a threat. If he's able to add those things, and those are simple things, it's just kind of really effort type of things, the dude has the potential to be the number 1 player on the planet. Like, he has the highest ceiling of anyone still on this list. His floor is what we saw this year. Lead the league in scoring, not a great defender, find a way to get his team to the finals. That's Luka's floor. It's incredible. He's a special, special player. At number 4, I really struggled. And to me, it goes into a little bit of preference. I think size matters. Playoff performance matters, but when I'm just talking about one-on-one, these are great players. I landed with Joel Embiid at number 4. Joel Embiid at his peak of peaks is the only big man who can really rival Jokic, and he is extraordinarily special. The problem with Joel is his health is just a gigantic concern, and it's a factor every time he plays. Joel is an MVP, so that obviously helps him in this case of trying to get into the this 4 spot. But I also think big men are basketball is a big man sport, and in my opinion, a dominant big man, when they can be dominant, are going to have a more impactful game in the NBA than the wings and the guards, unless your name is Steph Curry and you're historically great. Number 5, I'm going to give it to Jason Tatum. I struggle with this one because Tatum had such a poor finals performance, and he just wasn't good. He's been in 2 finals now, won 1, lost 1, and in both finals, he was not the best player on his team. But he is one of, in my opinion, the 5 most talented overall basketball players on the planet. I still think he's a guy whose ceiling we haven't really scratched the surface of yet. If he can find a way to add a mental dogness to his game, I know that's such a weird thing, just that kind of above the shoulders thing where he finds a way in the brightest of lights, biggest of moments, to shoot better and to be more aggressive and efficient. He was not efficient in the finals. Jaylen Brown was the better player in the finals. And Jaylen Brown is their closer. And that's okay. Like it's a recipe, obviously, for success. They want a title for your best player to not be your closer and your best player in the big moments, because he's lucky to have, in my opinion, another great player in Jaylen Brown, who we'll talk about a little bit later on this list. I have Jason Tatum at 5, right ahead of Shea, SGA. Shea is his potential is incredible. Shea is a type of player that I think is unique in the sense that he's physically gifted, like a Derrick Rose, like a John Morant, like a De'Aaron Fox. The difference is, and I think this is something, being a Canadian-born player, there's something to the international players. They don't grow up with this American mentality. I can see Shea and SGA just staying in Oklahoma City his whole career and not ever becoming a distraction or a problem. And that, to me, adds to his overall ability, talent. Unlike Russell Westbrook, who just became kind of a mental case to play with, SGA is not that at all. And that's a credit to SGA. He's an extremely talented player. He's long, he can shoot, he's a 3-level scorer. And explosivity is not key to his game as far as like longevity, which will help him have a longer, I think, maybe more successful career even than the Westbrooks, the John Morants, and the Derrick Roses. Number 7, Anthony Edwards. 3 weeks ago, I might have had Anthony Edwards at 5, but Anthony Edwards disappointing in the Western Conference Finals. It doesn't negate the fact that this kid is special. He's extremely special. He is, to me, the starting 2 guard on the planet right now. Like, he is the shooting guard on the planet that I would want to build around. He's a dog. He's a 3-level scorer. He plays defense, like cares about defense. He wants to be the face of the league. He wants the microphone. He wants the last shot. Mentally, he's the opposite of Jason Tatum, like original thinker and an absolute killer. And so I love Anthony Edwards. I think he's the 7th best player on the planet right now, who's got a chance to become a top 5 player. Those 4 and 5 spots with Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum aren't locked in by any means necessary of what this looks like in a year from now. I have Kevin Durant at number 8. Struggled with Kevin Durant a little bit because in the end right now he's still an elite scorer. He's got length and can still be an above average defender. If Kevin Durant's the best player on your team, what does it guarantee you right now? Similarly to the other guys here at the bottom of the list, I think it guarantees you a playoff appearance, maybe even a playoff run. The biggest problem with KD and why he will never, ever, ever, in my opinion, be considered a top 10 player in the NBA history is that KD, in his prime of prime, in his peak of peak, was never able to look at him and say, that's the dude, that's the man, that's the guy. We won because he willed us, he led us, and he dominated us to victory. Can't say that about him. You just can't. But he's an all-time great, and he's fantastic. He's number 8 right now in the world, in my opinion, just ahead of LeBron James. I still have LeBron James as the top 10 player in the league. Watch what he did last year. Now, LeBron can fall off. Father Time is undefeated. We saw it with Brett Favre in that final year in Minnesota. NFC Championship game to just crash. Can't throw the football anymore. Peyton Manning, he had the neck surgeries and everything, way healthier than LeBron. But we saw literally within just a couple months, the dude can't play anymore. He's more like Tom Brady, where the decline is slow. He's not a full 4-quarter game player anymore. He's not a full 82-game season player anymore. But when LeBron James is in a series, when LeBron James is in a one-on-one, when LeBron James is in a single moment, he's still a top 10 player in the NBA. This also speaks to why LeBron James is by far and away the 2nd greatest player of all time and will always be that way for the foreseeable future because of his longevity, because of his versatileness, and because he is a person that, when you think of what he's done at this stage in his career, putting up the points he did, the minutes he did, and the rebounds, the assists, it's literally unheard of. The only person to compare it to is Tom Brady in those years with the Bucks. Finally, number 10 player on the planet right now, Jaylen Brown. I had trouble with Jaylen Brown. Part of me, my early draft on this list had Jaylen Brown higher on this list, as high as 6 on this list. He's a Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He's an all-star. He is a guy that was the best player in the biggest moments for the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics won the NBA Finals because in Game 3, pivotal Game 3, going up 2-0, going to Dallas, He was phenomenal. He led his team to victory in the second half of Game 3, took over that game, and was the reason that the Celtics won. That's why he's the Finals MVP. He was bigger than Tatum in the biggest and most important moments. Problem with Jaylen Brown as a whole, little small, can be streaky offensively at times, is a dog, a lot like Anthony Edwards. He's like 90% of Anthony Edwards. A little more refined right now than Anthony Edwards, but Anthony Edwards' ceiling is just still so much higher than Jaylen Brown. But Jaylen Brown right now deserves to be a top 10 player in the league. If you told me today you're starting your team with Jaylen Brown, I'd be pumped. I would take him over a lot of guys. I would take him over a ton of guys. I wouldn't take him over Wemby or Anthony Edwards or Tatum. I wouldn't take him over Jokic or Giannis or Luka. But he's in that category. I mean, I'd take him over LeBron or Durant right now because of the age factor. He's a top 10 player on the planet right now. He's not playing on the Olympic team, which is just wild. But that also, I think, just goes to speak that on a regular season basis, he's not as great of a longevity player right now. But in these big moments, Jaylen Brown, you can't top what he just did in the NBA Finals. He's fantastic. Top 10 players in the NBA, Jokic, Giannis, Luka, big three, followed by kind of pick your order, that next group, Joel, Jason, Shea. I think that Jason deserves to be above SGA for the full body of work. And you could, if you had Jason at 4 and Joel at 5, I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't fight you on that too much. I have it the other way around because, again, I value the big man. And when Embiid is fully healthy, he's so elite, and an elite that a Jason Tatum we just don't see. Anthony Edwards, Durant, LeBron, Jaylen Brown. Again, 4 guys that I think right now in any given series, any given moment, could just be absolute game changers. And that's why I have them rounding out the top 10 players in the NBA. Let me know what you think. Comment below, like, and subscribe, all those fun things. And we'll see you Saturday morning for a live and local edition of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Follow me on all social media at Mark Hespen, MarkHespen on Twitter /X, Instagram, and here, obviously on YouTube. See you guys.